of this minister in the temple of God.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank.
The POS operator, she said 50,000 is 1,000 to collect 50,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
We will condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the temple of God.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank.
The POS operator, she said to collect 50,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
We will condemn
Open conversation this morning is Honorable Obunna Wuke. Honorable Obunna Wuke is a former House of Rep member and he's also a regular on Open Conversation. Good morning, Honorable Obunna, and welcome.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
I forgot to mention Honorable Obunna Wuke is also a publisher. He's the publisher of Port Harcourt Telegraph. Good morning once again and welcome.
Thank you.
And then on to the story. Former National Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Abdullahi Ganduje, has launched a fresh attack on Rabiu Musa Kwakwanso. The meeting in Kano State, Ganduje dismissed speculation that Kwakwanso might return to the ruling party. He argued that Kwakwanso had repeatedly ridiculed the APC and lacked the consistency to rejoin it meaningfully. The former Kano governor stressed that if Kwakwanso and his allies attempt to defect back to the APC, they would be welcomed only as madmen who swallowed their vomit, adding that the ruling party could thrive without them. What do you make of this story? I mean, there have been conversations around Kwakwanso joining the APC again, not forgetting the closed-door meeting between the president and Kwakwanso. But then, Ganduje has apparently taken this position. What do you make of it?
It's coming over with the governor. And whether we like it or not, you cannot throw away the capacity of a governor to help deliver a candidate. You know, you can be strong, you can be a minister, you can be anything, but the governor has the ways and the means. You know, and that's what counts. So if you have, that's why I describe it as a helping hand. If you have a helping hand, you just don't say, hey, why do I need you? At least not in politics. Maybe some people pretend they do you what they call open and close. You know, you come, they welcome you, they use you. Afterwards, they can just turn their back when they've gotten what they want. You know, like the concept of the socked oranges, you know. But that's it.
To a large extent, when you also talk of if Kwakwanso is moving over to APC, he's definitely going to move with the governor of the state. The governor of the state has clearly thrown his weight behind Ganduje always. Or am I mistaken?
No, I think the governor of the state is...
He's sorry with Kwakwanso.
Yes, of course.
With Kwakwanso.
He's a Kwakwanso
so
person.
now, at the end of the day, if Ganduje does not align with the vision of, if Tinubu has decided to work with Kwakwanso and push for reconciliation, if Ganduje does not align with that vision, that might see him embittered and probably at the end of the day. Do you see Ganduje in 2027 standing by Tinubu and working for the party? Going by the body language you're seeing from different factions, from different individuals in Kano State and at the national level. Ganduje has been silent basically since he resigned as APC national chairman. He has been silent most, in APC politics.
Maybe, because maybe they say when you have food in your mouth, you may not be too decent to talk. They took that one from him and gave something else. It's still in the picture. And,
But not in a political capacity now.
I understand it. The point is, he couldn't also have gotten that patronage if he was not a politician.
Okay.
You know, so this, you see, is a give and take thing. And I think that those who want to position themselves as friends of the president should be less greedy. The president knows your worth, you know, and you can help him, really make new friends as he goes into the race. The only thing will be very critical for Mr. President, and not just in driving his economic policies, in stabilizing the Nigerian nation, but also in pursuing that second tenure. You know, if you don't get it, it's almost like, oh, he failed. It will be a testimonial that he failed. Now, all those who are surrounding him, keep saying if you're a friend of a big political player, don't be too brash and rash, because you're not helping him. The people who hate not the man, but you.
And work against him
because
just
of you.
because of
So it doesn't make sense. But, you know, the more the merrier, they say. And my friend, when he was alive, I said, put too many people, they paddle, they sail.
But do you see, Ganduje and Kokwanso appears to be like two parallel lines that will never meet, if I may use that word. But then nothing can be left off the table. I can't say that reconciliation is definitely.
Who did he take over from? I mean, Ganduje.
Of course, he took over from Kwakwanso. He has always worked with Kwakwanso. Kwakwanso built his political relevance to a large extent. But then, the current reality is that.
Because the current reality is that it's an ego problem. That's the way I see it. There may be some, well, of course, some will say interest, but I see this more or less as an ego issue.
Okay.
I admit that politically, Ganduje is trying to make his bones. He, having been a governor too, he figures he has a followership that could count. Well, the Kwankwasia movement, everybody knows about that in Kano. And you know something about Kano's politics is something like a whirlwind. You don't know when you wake up and you're on the wrong side, you know, and everything, of course, everything goes. So that's how it is. But I think that going forward, well, we always see this fight for supremacy between Ganduje and Kwakwanso. But if both men are headed in the same direction, then they probably go into the room and have a conversation.
There needs to be room. There needs to be reconciliation.
Yeah, there must be a conversation in the room.
Let's hope that happens before 2027.
Not the other room.
But then let's just hope that happens before 2027. If not, one might say that Kano State might, you know, have its own crisis.
You know, I want another thing to add when you're discussing this thing. Don't discuss Kano in isolation. Kano is part of the Northwest. And if there's any point where Tinubu is likely to have some serious challenges in the Northwest,
yes,
I don't think that the challenge Tinubu will have in the North is be as pronounced
as that of the Northwest.
Because the anti-Tinubu drive has its roots in the Northwest.
And it's building momentum now.
Exactly. They are the ones driving ADC.
And the fact that the talks around Tinubu not going in with Shetima for second tenure might not, to a large extent, be also building in his favor. That also is also having its own underlying current.
I said that before.
Coming up. With the CBC block now, you know, some of the chieftains clearly now saying, we are going to work for
each time they have tried
the
to
ADC.
say in the Northeast, they talk about Tinubu coming back without talking about Shetima coming back. There have been reactions.
There have been reactions.
Serious reactions.
Not good ones, actually. There was one that they had to, like, you know, protect and take them out of that particular event, that particular venue. They were pelted with stones and all that, and they were, you know, rushed out of that venue to protect them. And one would say that to a large extent sends a message across what might, unless probably two things are involved, unless probably the president still decides to pick his running mate from the same Northeast. Maybe that will now, to a large extent,
but
well. But
again,
then
there's always going to be a mainstream group and a fringe group. Now, if you are taking somebody from the fringe, probably you're able to, because sometimes you can find somebody in the middle. This group will support, this other group will support. Maybe if you have that kind of mainstream candidate, it will work, you know. But if you are looking at this man, a former governor too, who has a governor in tow, and who is respected by other governors of the Northeast.
That's one would say a major arrowhead for him.
Yes.
And you know, initially prior to this time, I've mentioned that I was like, why? I feel that by now, either of any of these, particularly the candidates, those who intend to run for presidency from the southern part of Nigeria, would have considered having conversations with this person prior before now and probably clinch him. I was even wondering, I was saying to myself, what is Obi doing not having conversations with Kwakwanso by now, probably clinching something, like coming out with something concrete, and then, because I feel that it will make for a very strong opposition to a large extent.
The only problem, I think, when you look at Kwakwanso believes he has everything it takes to be the president of Nigeria. And quite a lot of people, maybe again from the Northwest, don't believe in the notion of rotational presidency. They think it should be thrown open, but they're also not looking deeply into the future. Now, I think that's what probably makes it impossible for an Obi Kwakwanso
ticket. Yeah.
Now, honestly, whether anybody likes it or not, going forward, there will always be this feeling in this next 4 years that is the turn of the South. Now, and if you look at the shopping list of what they are doing, Obi then fall within the group of people who probably run for only 4 years. You know, you'll fulfill the mission of the South and then withdraw, you know, so that the North can have its 8 years. Now, if you remove ego, remove some level of, you know, because this talk by Atiku when he said he already had 11 million votes. So there's this notion of votes. Since Shagari, what's in Buhari, came on board and they said he had like 16 million votes. All he needed was a little more. Now, this notion is based on what the North sees as this population advantage. Okay? It doesn't matter whether they come from Niger Republic or they come from Chad anyway. And most of them are coming from quite a lot of distance and trying to settle in Nigeria. And they're using them to achieve some political leverage. You know, so that's the point. Now, but when you separate all of this, I think that Kwakwanso has an appeal, strong appeal in the North, and Obi who has, you know, shown promise in the South. It's something, if we were to work together, could be something serious for, at least for the ruling party. You know, but in Nigeria things go.
Does always work the way you think it will work.
And unfortunately for them too, there are people go-betweens, maybe planted, who are making sure that they can't work.
It doesn't work.
Yes, that's it. You know, maybe at the end of the day, you find out where those people are really working.
Yes.
But their own job.
By that time, it's already too late.
You know, but their job is to be.
All right. Interesting times ahead in 2027. But the African Democratic Congress has strongly criticized President Bola Tinubu's renewed push for Nigeria to secure a permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council, describing the move as a misplaced priority. The party argued that insecurity continues to ravage communities across the country, making the government's global ambitions absolutely absurd. In a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Bolaji Abdullahi, the ADC said Tinubu's administration cannot credibly pursue expanded international influence while allegedly failing to fulfill its primary duty of safeguarding citizens' lives and property. Abdullahi stressed that leadership begins at home, noting that a government struggling to maintain peace locally lacks the credibility to seek global security role. The ADC further condemned the contradiction of calling for a global recognition at the UN General Assembly in New York, while Nigerians at home face persistent attacks from bandits and terrorists. The party warned that such efforts would not be taken seriously unless the administration first guarantees peace and stability within Nigeria. Honorable Bonawuke, what do you make of this? You recall that after Shetima's UN speech, you know, it has come with a lot of displeasure and backlash from Nigerians, particularly the fact that he went to the UN during his speech was focused on the plight of Palestinians and relegating the issue of Nigeria, you know, to the back burner. And now ADC is reacting to part of the speech, seeking for recognition at the UN Security Council seat. Nigeria is looking for a permanent seat there. Meanwhile, the question will be, with the insecurity in Nigeria, can one say that Nigeria is qualified for that consideration?
I don't know. I don't see any relationship between security in Nigeria and Nigeria's diplomacy.
Okay.
We have a historic mission when it comes to global politics. Many people forget that without Nigeria, probably Zimbabwe would not have been free, Angola would not have been free. We recognize Empire, whatever we did, and then we hit BP in Zimbabwe, you know, and before you knew it, there was independence across the line. Up to South Africa. We have a mission. We were perhaps, if not one of the most premier countries in Africa, could be part of those countries that have the capacity to have a permanent seat. You know, I think that these arguments, when we should play politics. But we shouldn't play politics with the interests, you know, what I consider permanent interests of this country. And what America, every day they are shooting people. Every day somebody is shooting somebody in school, somebody is shooting somebody in a park. But that's every day, almost every day. So the point I'm trying to make is that every country has its challenges. Okay? But sound well, you go after it. And I'll just plainly say on this program that if I were Tinubu and I'm going to, there was a time they deployed drones, remember? And then they claimed that it killed innocent people. But the question would be,
twice.
What is an innocent person doing with a militant?
No, one of the drones, I think they said, mistakenly fell on a village. Look, it wasn't militants. That was on a village.
If you saw the argument presented by the military said, based on area surveillance, based on information gathered on ground, as at the time of that attack, those insurgents were there. Okay, and there are people who do business with the insurgents, people who supply them with information, all kinds. And I'm just asking myself, of course you know that in war there will be collateral damages. Definitely. Okay? But I'm wondering, look at the argument that you may not agree with Israel. But Israel says we are attacking, like every Palestinian in Gaza.
They said that Hamas were using human shields. They were using civilians as shields and as such. And since those people have refused to vacate,
the critical thing is that because you allow yourself to be a shield, we are going to hit you.
That's the point. But Dan, we are now looking at, I'm not looking at international politics, right? Now, gun violence in United States, because you talked about United States and you mentioned gun violence in United States. Gun violence in United States, to a large extent, has not in any way crippled the economy of any state.
No.
In the US, has it?
What it has not achieved, is a crippling economy.
But in Nigeria,
what it has managed to create is some feeling of insecurity in the minds of men. That you are walking the street and maybe somebody will just unleash a weapon and you're down and you're gone. You know, because that's why I'm saying that every society has its kind of problems. It's unfortunate that in our own, you know, there have been attempts to make it look like it's a religious thing, and attempts sometimes to make it look like something that's got to do with those solid minerals that are found in the north. You know, there are all kinds of angles. Now, but if we are talking about, because look, it would have been strange if Nigeria got to the United Nations in the face of what is happening in Gaza, to international law, to the right of humans to life, and Nigeria could have kept quiet because, in the opinion of some people, that wasn't the Nigerian problem. Then those who say that do not understand the relationship, that local issues, what is international politics? They are based on local issues projected into international space. So you set the agenda. And those countries, and you see that because there was a common agenda set, when it was time for Netanyahu to speak, quite a great number of delegates in the UN hall walked away.
And what does that change? If I had to look at the international politics, one would expect that United Nations, that meeting to a large extent would have been...
What does it change? A sense of morality has been introduced into that conflict.
No sense of...
condemnation of that...
What has happened to a large extent for people like me who are viewing it? It's not about sense of morality, because, I mean, if one should look at the position United Nations has taken selectively on wars, on international space, I mean, a lot is left to be... I mean, to a large extent, I am yet to hear United Nations take any serious position with regards to Ukraine and Russia.
If you need to talk about... You see, this is the point.
No, these are the points.
Look, if you need to talk about what goes on in the UN, you're going to talk about it based also on its structures. The fact that the veto of one of those 5 permanent members makes everything you discuss useless.
Now, we are still talking about the hypocrisy of the United Nations. Yes. I mean, Ukraine is there.
Yes.
And United Nations has not taken the same position with Putin that they took with Israel and Netanyahu.
Because where this conversation is right now, is whether NATO should, and that's Western Europe, should come behind Ukraine in this encounter. Okay? Now, and they have the leader of NATO, unfortunately, Trump, and the United States, that's very ambivalent. You cannot even, because you can see the Europeans are trying to own the process because Ukraine is an European state. Now, and they're trying to put pressure, and you can see where that pressure has come, you know, in order to also stimulate understanding for the European posture in Eastern Europe. Then, what they did, all of them did in recognizing Palestine, sends a clear message. It sends a clear message. And it's a rub my back and rub your back thing.
I do not see the rub your back and rub my back
thing
but that's going on right now.
That's how it starts.
No, but because at the end of the day,
yes,
at the end of the day, I am looking at 2 nations at war, 2 nations that are at a disadvantage with stronger nations. Now, you're talking of Palestine, and you're talking of Israel, you're talking of Ukraine, and you're talking of and Russia. And at the end of the day, in the case of Ukraine, United Nations largely has not taken any stand. Largely. No. And then when it comes to Palestine, Netanyahu stands up to speak and everybody's walking away. Now the question is, having worked out, has it to any extent brought reconciliation? Has it brought any form of dialogue?
All right. I'm sure you are aware that Trump is going to have a meeting with Netanyahu sooner than later. Now, that on that table, on the front burner, is the issue of ending that crisis in Gaza. Because what you are seeing is that Israel is becoming increasingly isolated. Israel is a rebel nation, you know, and that
And the US does not want to go to war.
Well, you see, because these things are creating alignments. You see, China met the other day with Russia.
BRICS.
You know, you remember all kinds of meetings you are seeing, new power blocks emerging, and everyone's going to think that.
And it's putting US at disadvantage
Because of Trump's isolationist tendency. Trump just, okay, look at NATO, something, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is something that has served Europe and America well. And he says they're going to pay for their defense. So so how would America service the support that they're getting from Europe?
But then we'll still get back to that so that we don't completely deviate from, while I'm enjoying this conversation, as you look at the position that Nigeria took in during the UN speech and ADC's reaction to it. Now, you said that Nigeria, the international politics is very different from local politics.
Very.
And you're saying that Nigeria hasn't been instrumental, you know, to a lot of peace and, will I call it delivery from apartheid in certain nations of Africa.
We can't sit down there and have South Africa take it.
Now, to a large extent, one is saying that Nigeria should push to have that permanent seat in the UN
Yes, and they're asking for, Africa is asking for 2 now.
In the UN Security Council. Now, while Africa is asking, well, Nigerians, to a large extent, I can understand the position of the ADC and practically a lot of Nigerians. Yeah, I understand your position as well, but I'm looking at it from the fact that the Nigerian military used to be one of the most revered and feared military in Africa. But I doubt if our military still holds the same level of reverence that it used to have. I mean, this is the military of a country that went into foreign countries. Went into foreign countries, unknown land and unknown terrain, were able to fight
and we
wars.
executed it.
Yes, but then in Nigeria, we are unable to locally to contain terrorists.
Let us sit down and look at the picture.
Yes, that's why we are here.
Nigeria's military is properly trained. And when they get into a war situation, it's conventional war. Now they are dealing with a guerrilla setting in something that is happening at home. And they are worried about public opinion as what you are doing within your country with your military. And this is some of those things hinder advancement of a military option. Now there are people who are either Christians or Muslims whose roots are tied to what's going on. They're unable to separate their emotions. And so the national service, suffers a little by those who betray their fellow colleagues in the army because of their perception of what's going on in their backyard. You know, so but it cannot take away who we are, you know, where we have gotten. Remember that when Nigeria went to Liberia, in other countries, we let that put together that peace move. That's part of our diplomacy, you know. Africa is a centerpiece of our foreign policy. Whether that means driving our economic interests, driving our political interests. Again, orientation will always be the same. There will be some dominance of the Nigerian factor when it comes to the way the world perceives Africa. And
how is the world perceiving Nigeria right now?
I think that
in terms of security and insecurity.
Look, if we are appealing to countries for understanding, we want to buy weapons that are not available to us, and they are availing us with weapons. It means there is an understanding of the circumstances you are feeling. Nobody's saying that, oh, you are buying this weapon so you can kill your people. You understand? So that's why I'm talking about perception. Okay? Now, it will be in the interest of global peace if Nigeria were to be safe. It would be in the interest of global stability if we are not to do anything that would throw a new set of refugees out of Nigeria with the kind of population that we have. What would they run to? Where are they going? Now, everybody is fighting migration.
Is Nigeria fighting migration?
No, get what the point I'm
I
making.
get the
By
point
when you are talking
well.
about Japan, all those this migration.
No, why I'm bringing up
Yes.
this conversation is that we cannot take away insecurity from migration in the country, because a lot of these people, a lot of the attacks that have happened in the north, there have been conversations that these people are not core Nigerians. So now, does migration has a role to play?
No,
Yes,
no,
our borders porous.
No, our borders are porous.
So,
now. Yeah, deliberately porous.
Deliberately.
Porous.
Who manned these borders?
Borders are manned by our security agents, which would certainly include immigration, customs, and everyone. You know, but the point is this. Because I hinted at it at the start of this program. There are people who are entering Nigeria to come help some people dominate others. Now, so it pays them. Look, as ECOWAS chairman, Tinubu said, gentlemen, we're going to close the borders to Niger. The argument was that Nigeria could not support the idea of military rule among ECOWAS countries, among its neighbors, because it has ripple effects. And some people, rather than pay loyalty to Nigeria, say those across the border were their brothers. Between me and you, we have no, do you have a relationship elsewhere in I don't know where the Igbos can have a relationship somewhere. We are the only Nigerians, we and the Yorubas. This one's anyway, sorry, we're on a program.
Yes, we are on the program, actually. We are on the program. But then when you look at this now, you're now talking of trans-African influence, you understand, and how it's playing out in terms of insecurity in Nigeria. Now, Nigerians are saying that you went to the United Nations. One would say that you seized that opportunity to talk about the situation in Nigeria and probably a call for help. But no, Palestine was on the front burner.
It had to be.
It was on the front burner because Nigeria needed to take sides as most
So
countries of the world
are those who are
were taking
criticizing?
sides.
Why are those who are criticizing the speech that was put together by Nigeria? Of course, you know that they talked about the potentials of this country. They talked about what we are doing at home. And insecurity, honestly, solving that problem ought to be ours. You know, and the only thing that I think there's some confusion. You wake up today, you say kinetic approach. The next day, you say make up your mind. Me, I will drive those. I will just hit them. That's the truth. Because if you are told that don't be operating with rebels, because now when you define it, if we had a war that this is where the rebels are, this is where Nigerian soldiers are, Nigerian soldiers will drive them out. So this same...
But now they are now using communities as shields. So it becomes difficult
to fish them out
without collateral damage.
And there is a lot of propaganda that's going on at the community level. Remember a new group that emerged that is not terrorizing Sokoto and most of the northwest.
Lakurara
or something like that. They came, they come with some kind of propaganda. They are fighting this and fighting that. They just entrench themselves and they become a problem to you. You know, so I believe that whereas we should play the politics if we want to, we shouldn't play politics with foreign interests. Okay. No, that won't be right.
So for you, international politics should be clearly different.
Because they should tell us what they would do differently if they were to be given power now. What would be the orientation at the national level and the international level? You know, because this criticism for criticism's sake, I don't know whether I can come and say pro Tinubu or anti Tinubu. I don't even know what I want to describe myself at this time. But the thing is, the issue of restructuring of United Nations is on. And every country comes to the table with ideas that could help drive its own national interests.
Right.
Because if you have Nigeria as a country that has permanent membership with a veto, for example, it means that anytime the West, anytime the developed North seeks to suppress us in a way, then they can be sure of the veto of the Nigerians, stopping them from proceeding. Because once one permanent member has voted no, nothing happens.
All right.
The rest is convention, the rest is, like we are saying now, everybody, world opinion is in favor of Palestine because the reaction of Israel to that October attack, the number of quantum of people have been killed. The propaganda Israel unleashed when the Germans came after them, they seem to have forgotten too. Now they are unleashing mayhem. And I think that if you have respect for human life, if you have respect for order, international law, as the case may be, as we say here, rule of law, then you will not encourage what is happening in Israel, or rather in the Middle East to happen.
All right, very well. Coming back to Nigeria, Labour Party's Directorate of Mobilization and Integration has urged security agencies to investigate the public harassment of its national chairman, Julius Abure, at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. Abure was reportedly confronted by a woman identified as Mama P, who insulted him while recording the encounter before security personnel intervened. In a statement signed by Audu Caleb, the DMI condemned the incident as disgraceful, dangerous, and unacceptable, stressing that no political leader or citizen should be subjected to mob-style attacks in public. The group further alleged that anti-democratic elements may have sponsored the confrontation and called on Peter Obi to caution his supporters. The Directorate also criticized Yunus Atanko of the Obedient Movement for backing Mama P, warning that such rhetoric could escalate political tensions. It emphasized that Nigeria's public spaces must remain free and safe and free from violence to preserve democratic values. Honorable, what do you make of, you followed the drama that played out during the weekend between a woman that calls herself Mama P and Abure at the airport, and how it quickly escalated into violence. What do you make of the whole situation?
I think that we should show restraint as politicians. You don't get in a public place, you're not at a rally where you should use your tongue, convince people on the direction of your party. To see somebody at the airport, accost somebody at the airport, or taunt him at the airport in such a manner, that it will raise tensions. In my mind, not something very welcome.
The woman accosted Abure. Abure did not accost the woman. It was the woman that, and she even said she even said it in her video towards her, and she would say wherever she sees Nigerian politicians, she will call them out, she will insult them, she will do this, she will do that. She still said that she was recording it. I watched it, and I was like, oh wow, interesting.
I'm just trying not to be unduly sentimental a matter like this. I'm just trying to say that there are behavioral codes. Maybe she doesn't know it. She thinks maybe she's an activist, but she's only showing her background, how she was trained. Honestly. And we are trained not to engage women in arguments. If you're a male. And she shouldn't act like she's a tigress. Or some man who's not well
trained as
well could do something terrible, and then they will begin to say she's a woman. People should be careful, stay within your limits. But this game is, how do you project the ideas? What are you putting on the table? How convincing can it be? And okay, for this thing now, people are saying Obi should caution You know, the obedience, you know, they act like bees too. When something of great interest comes, everybody gets involved, you know. And I think we should reserve our energy for the best. And the best is coming, is 2026, 26. And I keep saying to everyone who has ears, 2027 is just voting year and handover. Actual politics.
It's 2026.
It's 26. What do you want to do for us as Nigerians? You go tell us in 26, not 27. 27 is the Oliver Gabiaka, Ebesire Madu.
You are not campaigning. You're saying
No. This was what MPP used to say. And just forgive me, I'm just trying a little bit of my Igbo, whether I can see Igbo
you
well.
tried. You
Okay.
did, but you should have translated what you said for people that are listening.
Okay. What I meant is that it's in 27 that people go to vote. And then they ask, where will we vote?
We have vote on print.
Those days, if it was the days of the MP and they said Abinchi, it was the days of MPP, then they said Ebesire Madu. You know.
What is the meaning of Ebesire Madu?
Where they drop us in now.
Okay, where they drop. It's for the people, our listeners who don't understand Igbo, so that you will also translate what you have said.
At least give me a pass mark for trying to speak.
You tried. You did well. You did well. But you just reminded us of that was their campaign slogan.
Yes, those were slogans. Those were slogans
during
of
the
past.
years of.
Shagari,
yes.
Zeke.
Now, but moving forward to what has happened, when you go through social media, it appears that this woman was being applauded by a lot of Nigerians, by a lot of social media activists who were saying, oh, she did well, and we are in the era of people calling out politicians and all of that. Now, while that's on one hand that Nigerians, it appears that there appears to be bad blood between Nigerians and the political class, probably because of the hardship in the country. In the issue of Abure does not hold any appointed position. Abure, to a large extent, does not hold any elective position. However, he's the factional chairman of Labour Party. Now, whatever crisis Abure may have had has to do with Labour Party, right? It has to, if we are to look at it critically, without any form of sentiment, whatever crisis Abure had to do with Labour Party. It's also very important to note
and
that
also
during Peter Obi's election,
it's got something to do with what they are saying about Obi, that Obi cannot have a platform to run for presidency in Labour.
Yes, but building up to this, do not forget that Peter Obi contested for presidency with Abure as the party national chairman, and Abure campaigned alongside Obi during the elections as well. So Obi did his part to see the emergence of Obi. Abure did his part to see the emergence of Obi, which
of course.
did not work. But then, long after that, issues happened, just like in every other party, and now we have factional leadership in Labour Party with allegations of financial misappropriation leveled against Abure. But the one would say, will that, to a large extent, if she is saying that she's accosting corrupt politicians and all of that, one would say to a large extent, Abure is not a political office holder in terms of governance, in terms of policies.
No, this is
so
the point.
I want it to make sense
because
to me.
something you said is of great interest. What's playing out on social media?
Yes.
Somebody went into an aircraft, simply off your phone. The person refused. But the dragging out of the person from an aircraft made more news than the incidents of not obeying clear instructions. Because I fear that some persons who are operating online have no regard for decorum. You know, they have no regard for civilized behavior. You know, because some of these things, in the first place, she may be Mama P, but she's not Mama Nigeria now. Even Mama Nigeria won't treat people like that. You know, it's wrong.
So this is more of, for me,
How would
or
you
for
feel-
anybody would say this is not political in the sense that you're fighting corrupt politicians that
Even
keeping
that is
Nigeria
not-
where it is.
listen.
One would say this is political party matter between obedience now and the factional leadership of Labour Party. How did it degenerate into corrupt Nigeria? I'm looking at issues as they are because Abure is not
Yeah, you see,
a governor.
what-
He's not.
What they are saying there is an attempt to find an underpinning reason why you will do what you want to do. Because you see, I don't see how, in a strict sense, okay, you have your so-called pen and you know how to write. And you're writing on social media, you're talking on the popular media, and the person has a right to reply, of course. Now, what do you do about the situation? You're working, you're not expecting any reaction from anyone. It may be probably you just stepped out of an aircraft, or you're going to board an aircraft. And then somebody from nowhere
starts harassing you and recording it while at it.
You can imagine. And you see, because you see, even when we talk about rights have qualification. When they say you have freedom of expression, they say, go and look at your constitution again. When it gives you certain qualifications, nothing will in a democratic society. Blah, 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 blah. You know, it tells you there's limitations. You're a journalist, I'm a journalist. And we know that there is a limit to freedom of expression. There is the communication. And if you try something for everyone, you won't learn it, I won't learn it. So you must know how you present yourself at any given time. No, but we have a system now that's making everybody talk. But anyhow. And I don't think that's what people envisaged. You know, when they started talking about free speech. I don't think...
when yes, there is free speech, but one would say to a large extent when leaders fail to be accountable. When leaders fail to be accountable and when the citizens lose trust in the system that should make them accountable.
There's something that Jonathan said recently that I like. So when a leader doesn't do well, you do what? You vote him out.
Now, one would say you vote him out if you trust the system that your votes will count.
Then, see, let's not be...
And then you now look at the consequences of even attempting to vote a leader out. The policies that will come out much later to affect you.
Even from a... Because they say every politics is local. And then you cannot rig where you're not popular. My brother will kill you. Do you understand? So, no matter how strategic your thinking is, no matter how much money you're carrying on yourself on election day, that you can enter a ward, a unit, or act in a unit, is because someone somehow believes that you have a right to do this. Maybe from their perspective, you are the candidate that they want. Now they can help you. So maybe if rigging by our understanding of it largely is to further boost the win, you know, to boost the win. Sometimes, villages, I'm just telling you, in some villages they say, look, we have to vote all our votes, so if not, next election, they will reduce our polling unit. You know? So there are too many things that are happening, of course, maybe powered by some influences, some interests. But in the field, so many things happen, you know. So now, if the force that is amassed against you is almost as equal as yours, what you will see in that polling unit, in that LGA, that locality, is dry voting. So, what point am I trying therefore to drive? That those who are determined to throw out a government must show it. They must show working. You don't stay in your house and say so. You come to the You come to the world. I'll give you one example. There was a local government election that the Federal administration organized. Police withdrew. All of them said they wouldn't come. What happened? The people turned out to protect that voting process. Because they believe. If they don't believe, they won't be there. And you find out that not one incident took place.
It was very peaceful.
Very peaceful. You know, so this is the thing. Commitment on the part of those who say they want a change in God is very important.
All right.
So if you don't show that commitment, and the ones who talk like you don't show that commitment, nothing will happen. It will be blah, blah, blah. They will come back and say, oh, your vote didn't count. It didn't count because you couldn't make it count.
All right. Very well. National President of the Obedient Movement, Yunusa Tanko, has said that Peter Obi will determine whether to fully join the African Democratic Congress after the November 8 Anambra governorship election. His clarification followed ADC's call for coalition's leaders to resign from their current parties and register fully with the party. Tanko explained that the ADC had granted Obi a waiver to carefully weigh his options, stressing that the former political party presidential candidate would not be pressured into an early decision. He noted that the waiver remains valid and that Obi's stance would be made clear at the appropriate time. He further stated that the timing was deliberate as the Obedient Movement is focused on the Anambra election. Tanko added that Obi, who is currently abroad delivering a lecture, will only announce his position after the poll. What do you make of this statement by the Obedient Movement chairman and the position of Obi not clearly declaring his stand for a particular political party, even till now?
I think first I need to acknowledge the position of the ADC, which is not given ultimatums, which understands that they're building a pact of cooperation. Now, that in itself, for me, is mature politics on the side of the ADC, meaning that these doors are still open. Now, Obi, perhaps to tie what is going on in Anambra to election, to Obi's eventual decision, for me, may not
hold a lot of water?
Hold a lot of water. The reason being that maybe Obi really needs time as a person to think about his future, in which direction he will pull. There are calls by the PPP, DDD. Going into election, they have a head start, you know, because of how that party
the
came
sentiments.
to be, how it came to be. So what will happen if Soludo and his stormtroopers win? Would you now say is that decision that made Obi? No, I think Obi is just trying to buy time for himself. He has to think things through. But well, the man who is speaking, purportedly is speaking for Obi. May not, those views may not be tied to Obi, but he's provided a platform for some analysis, basic analysis, and I just probably think, still standing on that Obi needs time to, in the face, being a bit of
2026 is fast approaching. And one would say that Obi's indecisiveness up until now, how is that going to, do you think it's going to affect him negatively? The fact that he's still indecisive till now.
Now, I think what has happened, not much. ADC hasn't even gone to the convention. So, because he can shut himself out if it comes too late. I think he's weighing your options.
PDP is preparing for this convention.
If Obi was not a candidate, entering a political platform would be easier.
Yes.
Now you need to look at that party that can issue you
that presidential ticket.
You understand? Because if they can't issue you,
it's a waste of time.
Yeah, that's
now,
the thing.
If you're looking at ADC, like you said, ADC's competition is increasing by the day. And they've always called it Atiku coalition before they coalesced into ADC. And Atiku, from his statements, even though he has not clearly come out to say, oh, I am running for presidency, to all intents and purposes, with regards to a lot of things he has said, I mean, it's clear as day that Atiku has plans to run for presidency in 2027. And Atiku's aide has said severally that the presidential candidate will emerge through delegate Congress. And if one should look at the contenders in ADC, that is, you have the likes of Rotimi Amechi, former governor of Rivers State, former minister of transport. You have Peter Obi. You have Atiku Abubakar, who, among the three, as at now, can win the delegate Congress. Your guess is as good as mine. It's going to be Atiku. Now,
Likely to be.
Likely to be Atiku. Now, that settles the ADC. Labour Party, on one hand, is dicey because Labour Party is factionalized. Labour Party is balkanized. With regards to the by-elections, you saw that INEC did not even recognize the candidates of Aburi. And Nenadi Osman, on the other hand, did not bother testing her luck by fielding candidates. So one does not know whether INEC, in de-recognizing Aburi, recognized Nenadi Osman. So we cannot take a position and say this is where INEC is standing.
No, but eventually they'll come forth. I mean INEC, because they've
yes.
come already. They've come forth with ADC's.
They might come forth when it's already late.
You see,
these things can happen.
You see, because we play politics almost everything. The ombudsman in an election process has also become part of the game. So we have judges who are descending into the temple. You have all kinds of behavior, you know, and they're very, unfortunately, not the best when you align such reactions to the development of our democracy. Now, Aburi, for instance, you know, Aburi has been having conversations with some people in power. Of course, you know, he has met with people like Nyesom Wike. He has. And those who you probably describe as obedient, okay, know that much. So for them, it's a betrayal. And so there is a faceless woman called Mama P. who accosts him at the airport.
You have taken the position of Aburi's faction. This is their conspiracy theory, and you're buying into that theory right now.
No, I'm not simply analyzing it.
All right.
Now, because you see, there must be some foundation, you know, to understand the interplay of all those variables and what's going on. You know, so when you look at all of those, you're likely to say Obi. Obi, they say he's outside delivering lecture. Will you be delivering lecture and fueling crisis at the same time? You know, so this is the thing. Sometimes you act on behalf of your principal and you drag your principal into an extremely...
And most times the principal doesn't send them on such errands.
May not send them.
But they are trying to do
They're
that.
trying to impress him. And at the end of the day...
To get publicity.
At the end of the day, it becomes even negative. You know, so this is the thing. Why all of us who are in this game, and let's tell ourselves the truth, this country is greater than all of us.
But then one would say that Obi's indecisiveness, like I asked earlier, if it's going to affect him, considering that while he's being indecisive, the president, who clearly is going to run for 2027, has been having meetings, alignments, realignments, you know, conversations. Atiku Abubakar, on the other hand, has also been holding his own meetings as well. You have seen a part of the CPC bloc that went to visit the president, and then another faction of the CPC bloc came out to disown that visit, and now say they are backing Atiku in 2027. While all these things are happening, people are taking positions, conversations are happening.
I agree. Now, but you see...
Obi, on the other hand...
It could also be strategic for Obi.
Strategic for him how?
Yes, this is the point.
Yes.
You don't jump into the river if you don't know how the current is flowing.
Okay.
So you need to look properly. Know whether you even when you're standing on sand, well, and you hope that it's not quicksand. You know, so this is the thing. I think that Obi has a right. You look at this things
You think
clearly.
he's being for now standing aside is
yes,
also a
he's
strategy for
being
him.
cautious.
Okay, he's
now,
being
because
cautious.
maybe if he gets in full time, it'll be difficult for him to come out of it or say to Nigerians that he made a mistake. You know, so it's proper to err on the side of caution and rationally,
It can be understood.
because there are conversations that are going on. You know, part of the problem will be the ADC were to issue an article.
Then he will lose out.
Because the point is, that will be your calling. Rotimi Amechi them, those ones you are calling. Because maybe except they do not believe in the historic mission of the South, who would certainly play the Southern card. Because you see, let nobody deceive himself. That thing played between Wike and Atiku. That thing you saw was not because Wike didn't probably win, but because when it was the turn of the North, no Southerner contested. So when it became their turn to contest, Atiku came with his deep pocket and tried to
And that's
and the ethnic question and
Came up.
PDP went
kaboom.
That's it.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable, for coming. It's a pleasure having you. Thank you for making out your time to come this morning.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. And thank you so much, our viewers, for always staying connected to us. And this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Open Conversation. We are open for sponsorship of the program, advert placements, news, events coverage, and commercials. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv, on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. You can also watch us on Avo TV, Niger TV, and Ifastech TV platform. You can connect with us on our ATN socials by subscribing, like, and share. Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1. And on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Do not forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. I am Laurentia Ugu. Transition News comes up next. Do not go away.
Give us access to our money, we put in the bank. POS operator, she sent me that